Welcome to the Swamp Chat, brothers and sisters. I'm your host, Steve Best. The year is 1969, just around the time that Lynyrd Skynyrd decides to change their name from the 1% to Lynyrd Skynyrd. Now, I want to explain how the era was back then. There were only certain places of business that the hippies and the rock musicians could have jobs. One of those places was a place called Clark's Steak Burgers. Well, I already had a job at Clark's Steak Burgers, and I worked in the afternoon when I got out of college and on Saturdays. Well, one day I was called into the office, and they said, Steve, the boss wants to talk to you in the office. Well, I said, I hope I'm doing a good enough job. He said, no, it has something to do with somebody you know. Well, I walked in, and I walked into the lobby. And lo and behold, there's Alan Collins. And he's filling out an application. And he says, hey, man, I put Gary down, and I put Ronnie down for a character reference. I wanted to know if I could have you for the third character reference. And I said, well, sure, Alan. I'll go in there and tell the boss right now. And he said, well, that'd be cool, man. So I went in there and I told him how long I'd known Alan, since 1965, and I'd played with him on a regular basis all through high school. And, he was a loyal, faithful, dependable worker. Always showed up for rehearsals with Ronnie and Gary and Bob and LJ on time and all. And so he said, well, Steve, he says, you're a good worker, man. You've been here for quite a while, and I'll take your word for it, and I'm going to hire your friend, Alan Collins. So I went back. I was dismissed and went back to work. I was unloading, taking the Clark's Steak Burgers that were made right there in the factory, taking them and putting them on the conveyor belt to go inside the all the trucks where they would distribute them to the different local grocery stores. And Alan comes out with a big smile on his face, and he says, hey man, I got the job. Well, I said, that's great, Alan. Well, Saturday rolls along. Now, I played with Skynyrd that weekend, that Friday night, and I had to be at the job in the morning about 7 o'clock. And Saturday rolled along, and there comes Alan. And he was on time and everything. And they put him to work in the truck right next to mine. And Alan was loading and unloading. And he stayed with Clark's Steak Burgers for a couple months. And then all of a sudden, one day he doesn't show up on a Saturday. And so I went to the foreman, and I said, well, where's Alan? And he said, well, he had to quit. His band leader told him something to do with the Hell House. What in the hell is the Hell House? And I just laughed. I said, well, that's the practice house in Green Cove Springs. It's an old meat packing distribution place on a lake down there in Green Cove Springs. But didn't Alan do a good job? He said, he's a great worker. He said, if Alan ever wants a job here again, I'll hire him again on your recommendation. Well, brothers and sisters, that's just the way it was back then. The only thing I can compare it to was the birth of punk rock music when the spike-taired punkers all hung together. You got to understand the era to understand where I'm coming from. And no, I didn't get my hair cut. It is pulled back in a ponytail. Well, I'll see you, brothers and sisters. Have happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. I'll see you at this next Swamp Chat.